Greetings gastronauts, this is KeefCooks, I'm Keef, and today I'm going back to my roots. I'm going to make a pie. I'm going to make a Shropshire Fidget pie, which is very similar to a Cheshire pork pie. Oh yes. So I mentioned Cheshire pork pie first because that was requested a while ago by Will Handley, and at the time I hadn't heard of it, and still it's not a common thing. It's not something you ever come across. But basically it's pork pie, but it's got apples and potatoes in it. So it's not entirely pork. Anyway, back to my roots. I love pies, I always have, and I've done dozens of different pie recipes. So I will link to the playlist of all my pie and pastries videos. And I can't actually do this without a shout out to Jan Jordal, or I don't know how you pronounce that actually, Jan Jordal. Unusual. More pies please was the request, so I hope you enjoy this one. So the fidget pie comes from a little county of Shropshire in sort of mid-eastern England, I think, almost in Wales. And it's a traditional pie that had almost died out, and there are very many different ways of making it. Some of them have the mixture all ground up together and like solid, like a Melton Mowbray style pork pie. Others have layers of the ingredients so you can see what's in it. Some have are fully enclosed in pastry, proper pies. Some have a mashed potato top, not proper pies. Anyway, I'm sure it's going to be delicious, so let's get on with it. If you enjoy this video, give it a like, share, subscribe. Come on, you know you want to. And here we go. And I've forgotten to explain the origin of the name fidget pie. So there's three main explanations, none of which I'm buying at all. One is fitched means five-sided, and the original fidget pies had five sides. And even more unbelievable, that was supposed to make it easier to handle. I don't know. And then another explanation is fidget is the local word for polecat, and these pies were said to smell like a polecat when they were baking. Now, I've never seen or smelt a polecat, but it doesn't sound plausible at all. And the last one is even more mental. It's the contents fidget while they're in the oven. Anyway, on we go, fidget pie. So I'm going to make a big pie, and the first thing you want to do is find something to bake it in. The ideal thing is a springform cake tin. So I've got two. I've got some smaller ones, but I've got this one is 19 centimetres. This one is 23. I think ideally I would want one that was in between those, so 21. But it depends on your circumstances and how many mouths you're going to feed. So I'm going to go for the smaller one, and that will obviously affect the quantities of pastry and other things that you use. So just use a bit of common sense. You can do that, can't you? Yes. Right, so get rid of that. I'm going to use hot water pastry, which is the type that's always used for pork pies, and it's very easy to make. I've never actually seen it on sale. So if you don't fancy making pastry, get hold of some short crust pastry, ready-made. Really not puff or flaky. Not puff or flaky, not the right thing, okay? All right, we need to weigh out some flour, and I've got some new scales, which I'm really pleased with. And I noticed on the Great British Bake Off, which is going on at the moment, they're using these scales as well. And I'll put a link in the description below if you want to get one. And what's great about it is there's two platforms. There's the regular one and there's a little one for very small measurements. So as you can see, you can measure fractions of a gram, a tenth, a hundredth of a gram. So that's really good for certain things. But I just want to measure 400 grams of plain white all-purpose flour and a pinch of salt. It doesn't have a pinch measure, but you can't have everything. So that's that. We can mix those together at our leisure. And I've also got 200 grams of lard chopped into bits and 200 ml of water. So if you don't do lard, you can use tallow or butter or shortening or any kind of solid fat, maybe coconut oil, I don't know. I haven't tried that one. We need to melt the fat and the hot water together over on the stove. We mix the flour and the salt together, then add half of the liquid, stir that in, and then add the rest of the liquid. Just mix it all together, get it all nice and smooth. Then we'll wrap it in cling film and we'll stick that in the fridge to cool down till we're ready for it. It needs to be pretty much sort of room temperature. Not chilled, but not warm. For the filling, I've got 500 grams of gammon, 450 grams of potatoes, some apples, a medium onion, 7 sage leaves, and 100 ml of cider. That is real cider with alcohol. We'll also be making a little sauce, so you'll want some flour, butter and milk or cream, and salt and pepper to taste. So gammon, it's a kind of pork, it's cured pork leg, but you could use raw pork or bacon or whatever you can get hold of. So we need to peel the spuds and the apples. Just wait. Right, I was threatening to get an apple corer peeler, and this is it. Also does a kind of spiral slicing, so it's quite exciting. Turn the lever to make it attach itself to the worktop, and there's a thing here that releases the lock on the shaft so you can pull it in and out. There are some fairly sharp exposed blades on this, which I'm not mad keen on, but that's the slicey blade there, and here is the peely blade. Let's do a tatty. I'm not an expert on this, I've used it once. I think what I need to do is push the tatty onto the prongs, then we can move it towards the peeling blade and turn the handle. Whoa, and that's taken off quite a lot. It's made a ziggurat out of the potatoes. So you can adjust how far back that is. It's too far, it's not engaging with the spud. A bit better. And now you can see it's coming through the corer part. I don't particularly want my potato cored, but looks like that's what I'm going to get. And also, as it comes through, it goes onto the slicing part. And what you end up with is a spiral cut potato. Interesting, eh? Alright, it's good fun. You can probably do things with potato springs. I mean, that is quite an amazing thing. And then you can just chop the core into little bits. Peel and slice the onion. I don't think it'll work on this. Well, I know it won't. Okay, there's the onions sliced. Now I'm going to try an apple. Nice round one. This should work brilliantly. Anyway, we've got a cored apple, partly peeled and sliced into springs. That's okay, that's nice. Now we need to do a spot of cooking of these things before we put them in a pie. Now I need to pre-cook the spuds and the onions, so I'm going to steam them. So I've got some boiling water, put that in the bottom of the steamer stack. And the onions. And then the spuds. I think I'll leave them connected in a big spring, except I'll just half it. I'll put that on the back burner and probably give it 5 minutes. We just want them to be a bit soft, not completely cooked. While that's going on, we'll make a little white sauce. So we need to melt a blob of butter. That is too hot. Okay, when the butter's melted, just sift in some flour, about the same amount. Stir that in, make a paste, and then add some milk. Just like that, cook in and thicken up. Now I'll add a bit of whole grain mustard. and some salt and some ground black pepper, and also some of the sage leaves. Just sort of, well, we just roll them up and then cut them thin. A little taste. Ooh, that's lovely. So there's the onions and the tatties and the sauce. Give that a good stir and get everything coated in the sauce. Now we need to cook the apples a little bit, so you want a big lump of butter, melt that. And add the apple. I was going to say break up the spring into bits, but it's doing it all by itself. That's fine. So just let those cook for a few minutes, get them nice and coated and starting to go golden. Then we'll add about a tablespoon of sugar. This is Demerara sugar. Dark brown muscovado will be better. I know we've got some, I just can't find it. It'll kind of melt a bit and make the apples delicious. So this gammon, I was quite worried about it because on the label it says contents pork about 87%, and the rest of it is water. What I didn't want was this to release all its water inside the pie. So I microwaved it for 2 minutes, wrapped in kitchen roll, and water has been released, so should be okay. Flour on the worktop and the rolling pin. Pastry. So take about a quarter of it and roll it out. This will be the lid, and I'm going to trim it with like a 1 centimetre, ½ inch margin, so we've got enough dough to make a really fancy bit of crimping. Set the lid aside, sprinkle some flour in your tin, roll out the rest of the pastry and then roll it over the rolling pin and unroll it into the tin. Press it right down to the bottom, taking care not to rip it, crease it, shred it, whatever. So there's the tin lined with dough, and there's the excess dough, quite a lot of it. Layer apple in the bottom. Oh, there's a bit of syrup there, I won't put it in because might make the bottom soggy. Now some tatey and onion and sauce, about half of it, and then a layer of gammon or ham or whatever. More of the potato and onion mix, and the rest of the meat. And don't forget the cider. Now moisten the rim with water and pop the lid on. Squeeze it down all the way around. So now you can do a decorative crimp around the edge if you want. And actually I think I'm going to make some leaves and things to pretty up the middle of the pie. So grab a bit of your spare dough, roll it out as thin as you can. Right, so I've got some egg wash, a beaten egg with a splash of milk in it, and I'll just paint the top all over and all the crimpy bits around the edge. Then I've got my leaves and some sort of stalks. So chuck a leaf on there. Just glaze those as well. Alright, we're ready to bake. So you need your oven preheated to 180 degrees Celsius for a fan oven, convection oven or air fryer oven. That's 200 for a conventional one, and that is gas 6. So just to remind you, while we're flogging stuff all over the place, this is a housework K5 Pro, which I've had almost a year and it's still going strong. It's really really good. I really like it. If you look in the description below, there's a code, a discount code. You'll get 10% off or something. Europe only, sorry America. So I stick the pie in for about 40 minutes. Okay, time's up. Actually, extra time. I gave it an extra 10 minutes because it was looking a bit pale on top. So let's see how it is now. Okay. It was really late at this point, so I decided to leave it until the next day. Okay, it's the next day, so I'm going to see if I can get the pie out of tin. And it might be tricky because there was a little bit of boil over boil. There's a technical baking term for, you know, when your pie filling escapes a little bit. Oh dear. Let's not look at that bit. Okay, let's see if we can cut a nice neat wedge out of this. Oh yeah, it's pretty good. Possibly the inside should be a bit drier, but I mean, I'm happy with that. Okay, taste test time. I am ready for this. I mean, it's, well, early in the morning. This is my breakfast. That is not like any pork pie I've ever had. Really nice. Actually, the gammon is a bit chewy. I think it could have done with being boiled for maybe half an hour before going in the pie. That's really great. Fidget pie, give it a go. So, thanks for watching and see you next time.